I had an opportunity that would really benefit me professionally. I was traveling to New Orleans to go to a Society of Professional Journalists conference. Little did I know that after leaving Indianapolis, I would be in for quite the journey. My flight from Indianapolis to Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport was smooth sailing. The passengers were friendly. I munched on some pretzels and got in a quick nap. The weather in Dallas was 80 degrees and sunny. The layover was supposed to be an hour, but that was not the case. Everything quickly turned south. Everyone boarded the plane on time, but the cramped cabin, stuffy air, and sunshine beating through the windows put everyone a little bit on edge. I noticed there were no lights on in the cabin. The pilot came over the speaker and said,
"Folks, this is your pilot speaking. We're experiencing electrical problems, but after a mechanic looks at it, we should be ready to take off in about 20 minutes.
Those 20 minutes turned into 2 hours sitting on that tarmac. Most people took naps, but I couldn't. I was too uncomfortable and worried that I would be late for my first meeting as an intern. What would I do? These people are expecting me to be on time. I had responsibilities. Why didn't I book an earlier flight? Finally, we took off. I started to drift off to sleep within the first 10 minutes of the flight. That is, until the pilot came over the speaker yet again.
No need to be alarmed, folks. We're going to head back to Dallas International. Emergency vehicles will meet us on the runway, but no need to worry, we shouldn't need.
Emergency vehicles? No need to worry? Ha, yeah, right. My head started spinning. My hands clammed up, and all I wanted to be was safely on the ground. What if the plane blew up? What if we couldn't land? I remembered seeing plane crash stories on the news, but never thought I would be involved in one of them. We went in for the landing. I could see cars with flashing lights driving up beside us. I closed my eyes and finally felt the plane's wheels touch the ground. It was rough, but we had landed. After hitting the runway, the pilot immediately turned off the plane. It shook violently for a minute or so and then stopped. We had landed. We were safe. I was alive. We taxied back to the airport and the pilot came over the speaker once again.
Sorry for all the trouble. We lost pressure in one of the engines. We're looking into getting another plane and a crew to get you safely to New Orleans.
Did he really just say that? Electrical problems? Engine problems? They let the plane take off anyway? I couldn't believe it. We bustled off the airplane to a new gate at the airport. By this time, I knew I was going to be late for my internship. I called my parents crying, but realized the situation was completely out of my control. Finally, 2 hours later, we boarded a new plane with a new crew. Once everyone was seated for the flight, the plane wouldn't start. The pilot said that planes have to be jump-started all the time, but for some reason I found that very hard to believe. An hour later, we were finally on our way to New Orleans. I clutched my seat throughout the entire flight. I was extremely nervous. I kept thinking about being on solid ground. Luckily, it was a short flight and we made it to New Orleans around 6:30 in the evening. I had been traveling since 7 o'clock that morning. I missed my meeting, but was welcomed with smiles the next morning. Once I was in New Orleans, I called my parents and asked, would it be too much to ask to be able to drive home to Indianapolis?